Today we're going to start making a shapes and measurement book. I say start because we're only going to do a couple of pages each day, and before you know it, you'll have a whole book. So today we're going to start. You can see that I just got a regular composition notebook. You can use the binders, the little spiral notebooks, anything that you can find. If you want it small, then you can find a smaller one. If you want it bigger, you can find a bigger one. And I just decorated mine with marker. You're welcome to decorate it any way that you'd like. Okay, so it's called my Shapes and Measurement Book. And then you can also write your name down on the bottom by who is doing it. When we make our shapes and measurement book, it's important that we start with a table of contents. So I'm just going to go right through the whole what we're doing, and then if you need to pause the video to catch up, because I'm going to go kind of quick, then you can pause the video and then finish your writing and then start it up again. Okay, so I was talking about the table of contents is important because we're going to have a whole list of different shapes and their perimeter, the area, their attributes. And so this is a really nice way to find what shape you're looking for in a quick way. All right, you can see that we're going to start with the rectangle, and that'll be on page 1. All right, so I started with the title. Okay, so you always want to make sure you put the title on the top, rectangle. And then I want you to draw just 2 different rectangles. So the first one, you see that the length is the long part right here, and then the width is going to be on the sides. So the length is on the top and the bottom, and the width is on the sides. On this one, we're doing it the opposite. We're going to have the width on the top and the bottom, and the length is going to be on the sides. So you've got 2 different shapes. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to draw those. Okay, and again, if you are not finished drawing those, then you just pause the video and finish. And one of the nice things about having the a notebook is that you've got the lines, so that might help you to make them straighter, although mine aren't that perfect. All right, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect because we can still tell the attributes of the rectangle. The attributes mean what are the characteristics? What makes this a rectangle? And so that's what I want you to write. After you draw your rectangles, write the word attributes. And then I'm going to ask you a series of questions and then we'll write those down. So what do you notice about the rectangle? Well, most people will notice that there are 4 sides. Okay, so each one of these shapes is a rectangle and they each have 4 sides. Another person might notice that, hey, there are 4 corners. So at this point, you'll see that I have a highlighter. So if you don't have one, pause the video and go get one. And then you want to highlight the corners, okay? Those have another name. In math, we call those angles. Okay, so after you highlight, and you can tell I'm going on the outside of that so that you can see the different shapes of those angles. That's important as part of the attributes. Okay, when you are finished, then you can go ahead when you're finished, then I want you to add, next to writing 4 corners, I want you to make parentheses and write angles, because that's the name. Now be careful when you're writing angles, it's not ELS, that would be angels, and rectangles don't have any angels. Okay, notice up here that it's LE. Rectangles have 4 angles. Okay, not only are there 4 angles, but there are 4 right angles. Not wrong angles, but right angles. Okay, then that's a joke because right angle is actually a name of an angle, and we're going to learn about that a little bit later. But for now, just go ahead and write right angle. So there are 4 right angles in each one of the rectangles. Okay, now I'm using marker because I want you to be able to see it, but you can use pencil if you feel better, more comfortable with that, so that you can erase if you need to. All right. The next attribute that we see, and we're going to do this part together now. The next attribute, most people would say one of the attributes is that they have 2 long sides and 2 short sides. Okay, when we very first started, I said to make the long, and then we also made the short. Okay, so let's go ahead and I like to put these little bullets because it makes it really easy to see. So there are 2 long sides, and the word that I used when you were drawing that was length. 2 long sides, and we'll put that over here, length, and 2 short sides. And that has a math name too, and that is width. 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 Okay? So, there is one more attribute that I think we should write on here, and that is that it is flat. Rectangles are flat shapes. A little bit later on, we're going to get into some 3D shapes. But for now, we're going to write that the rectangles are flat. All right. Now I'm going to switch to a pen. Hopefully you guys will be able to see, because I need a little bit, I need to write a little bit thinner line. But you can stick with your pencil. What we want to do is figure out 2 things. One would be the area. Okay, the area is how big is the inside. Now this is really important to know. For instance, if your living room is a rectangular shape and you want to lay down new carpeting, you need to know the length of the area. You need to know the length and the width, and that's how we're going to find out the area. Okay, so at this point you'll need to get a ruler. I like the wooden ones because the wooden one starts right on the edge. Some rulers now, they don't start in here and they'll have a 0. They don't start until in here, and then you have to slide your ruler over. But this one's nice because you can go right to the edge. All right. Now we made our rectangles kind of big, and you may have made yours smaller. So today we're going to use, instead of using inches, we're going to use the centimeter side. So that's the part, you may see it says mm, that's actually millimeter. That's measuring each of these teeny tiny lines in here. Those are millimeters. And we're going to be using the centimeters. So the centimeter goes from the edge of this ruler, or if you have the other kind of ruler, from the 0 to the number 1. So that's about 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters, and so on. So to figure out which side of the ruler that is, these are inches and they're much further apart. The numbers are inches apart. So we're going to go to the side of the ruler that the numbers are closer together. Okay? So what we want to do to figure out the area is first we need to figure out the length and the width. So we're going to go up here to the top, and I'm going to measure that top line. So we're going to go to the nearest centimeter. This one is closest to the 9. It's closer to the 9 than the 8. So we're going to say that this one is 9 cm. That would be 9 centimeters. That's the length. On the side, that's the width. You can see that it's from the edge here all the way to the number 6. So it is 6 centimeters. Now I'm writing these numbers on the outside. Now, go ahead and write your numbers on the outside, and we're going to go ahead and figure out the area by multiplying. 6 times 9 equals 54. So this area right here is 54 centimeters big. That means the whole space in here is actually 54 centimeters big. Okay, and the way that we figured that out is length times width. And that's going to equal the area. Okay, so some people think that math is all about numbers, but letters are also very important in math as well. Okay, so we've got cm for centimeters, length times width equals area. All right, now we also want to figure out the perimeter. The perimeter would be the outside. I like to tell the story about Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve owned all of the Garden of Eden. Okay, and so I'm sure they were in love, and so they used to go for walks. And it was so full of animals and lush land and beautiful plants that sometimes they would just walk along the perimeter. That meant that they walked around the outside. Okay, now what does that have to do with this? Well, if they were walking around the perimeter on the width side, it would be 6 centimeters. And since this is a rectangle, it's the same size over here. So we're going to put 6 centimeters over here. And when they walk the length, it's also 9 centimeters around here. Okay, so they're walking around the perimeter. And the perimeter, I'm going to write that over here. It looks like perimeter. Okay, and the reason why I tell the story of Adam and Eve is because that will tell you what you need to do to figure out the perimeter. What was the name of the first man that was made? Adam. So what do you do to figure out the perimeter? You add them. Add all of the sides to figure out the perimeter. So we're going to add, in this case, it's 9 plus 6 plus 9 plus 6. Okay, 9 plus 6 is 15. 15 plus 15. You see what I did there? 9 plus 6 is 15. 9 plus 6 is 15. I don't want to write it because it's going to get in the way of that. Okay, so we've got 15 plus 15. 5 plus 5 is 10. Carry the 1. 1, 2, 3. 30 centimeters. So the perimeter is 30 centimeters around. Okay, that's this rectangle. So let's do this one. Let's figure out the area and the perimeter. Remember, the area is the inside. And first we need to measure. We're measuring in centimeters. Okay, so we start at the edge here. And it's almost, looks like it's about 3.5 centimeters. But we're not going to use fractions today, so we're going to go, when it's half, you go to the bigger number. So we're going to say that is 4 centimeters wide. And the length would be 8 centimeters. And let's go ahead and figure out all of the numbers all the way around, because we know that if it's 4 up here, then what is it on the bottom? Also 4. And that means if it's 8 over here, then this one should also be 8. Okay, I don't want to run into our number over here. All right, so we actually have the numbers that we need to figure out the perimeter, and we also have the numbers that we need to figure out the area. Remember, to figure out the area, length is the long. Length times the width will equal the area. Okay, so our length is 8 times 4. And so you can figure out, you know your 8 times 4. What is our area? Remember, it is in centimeters. Okay? I like to let you guys figure some of these things out too. All right, for the perimeter, remember the perimeter is going to be to add them all. So we add 8 centimeters plus 4 centimeters plus 8 centimeters plus 4 centimeters. That's going to give us our perimeter equals 8 plus 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And this one would also be 12. So we've got 12 plus 12, 24. Oh, I should have let you figure that one out. 24 centimeters. Our perimeter is 24 centimeters all the way around. Now, if this were real ground or area in your house or in your living room, we would not be using centimeters. All right? So this is our first page rectangle. And so I'm going to keep adding more videos and we'll keep adding more pages. And before you know it, you'll have a whole book. Alrighty? So I hope you guys can remember area is the inside, that's length times width. Perimeter is the outside, and we add them all. Also the attributes, and we're going to learn more about right angles. That's going to be a page in our book. And also we're going to remember the length and the width. All right, so have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.